Has your divorce been finalized and you're wondering if you can go back and change the terms of your divorce agreement? I'm Matt Dolan with Dolan Divorce Lawyers in Connecticut, and today I'm going to talk about which provisions of your divorce agreement or judgment can and cannot be modified. So let's start with what can be changed. Child custody in your parenting plans can always be changed based on a substantial change in circumstance. You cannot have a provision in a divorce agreement, at least not an enforceable provision, which says that child custody is non-modifiable. And the reasons to modify a parenting plan are quite numerous. It could be that one parent moves away, maybe there's a change in work schedule for one of the parents that makes the existing parenting plan impossible. Perhaps your child's needs have changed that makes the current plan unworkable. Or if one parent isn't following the existing parenting plan, that could be a basis to change the parenting plan. Now, beyond that, you can also always modify child support based on a substantial change in circumstance. So if one parent has a job loss, or maybe their income increases or their income decreases within the same job, that could be a basis to modify child support. And generally, for there to be a substantial change in circumstance, there has to be a 15% change to the child support guideline amount of support. So let's say the existing child support is $200 per week. So a 15% change on $200 a week would be $30. So it would either have to be $30 more in child support or $30 less in child support. You also might need to modify child support if one of your children ages out. If your child is 18 years old, once they turn 18, unless they are still in high school when they're 18, then the child support expires for that child either when they graduate from high school or when they turn 19, whichever comes first. So once they age out, that is a substantial change in circumstance. So presumably the person who is paying child support would file a motion to modify child support in order to have it reduced based on there being one less child for which there is child support. You can also modify within child support the percentage payments that are paid towards extra expenses. So generally speaking, a divorce judgment will have each parent pay a certain percentage towards work-related childcare, unreimbursed medical expenses, and extracurricular activity expenses. So if there has been a substantial change in circumstance of either party's income, then you may be entitled to go back and modify each parent's percent contribution towards those extra expenses. And finally, health insurance would fall within the child support category. So if one parent no longer has health insurance available to them through their employment, or maybe if the other parent was paying for the health insurance through their employment and now you have a plan that's actually better than the existing health insurance that is in place, if you can't reach an agreement on changing the health insurance, then you could file a motion with the court asking that there be a modification to the existing health insurance orders. And finally, the last major category that can be modified is alimony. So most divorce judgments will say that alimony is paid for a certain number of years, whether it's 5 years, 10 years, or there can be a lifetime alimony award. And it will generally say that alimony is modifiable as to amount and non-modifiable as to term. So what that means is you can't modify the number of years for which alimony is paid, but you can modify the amount if there has been a substantial change in circumstance. And the general changes that would warrant a modification of alimony are retirement, disability, where somebody could no longer work, a loss of a job, or some other change of income, whether it be an increase in income or a decrease in income. Now, it is possible that alimony can be completely non-modifiable. There may be a provision in a divorce agreement that says that alimony is non-modifiable based on term or amount, in which case you cannot modify alimony. And the statute also allows for modification based on cohabitation. So if the person who is receiving alimony begins to cohabit with somebody else, whether it's a significant other or other type of roommate situation that would change their financial circumstances, then that can be a basis to modify alimony, unless, again, the agreement specifically says that alimony is non-modifiable based on cohabitation. So those are the aspects of a divorce agreement that generally can be modified. Now, what cannot be modified are the division of assets and debts. Those are property settlements which are final and binding. Even if you feel that you look back and it's an unfair resolution, then you cannot modify those property settlements. Unless, of course, you find that the other side committed fraud or there was a mistake that both of you made in valuing a particular asset. That could be a basis to open the judgment, but it would not be a basis to modify the existing orders. You would have to go back, reopen the judgment, and essentially change the initial divorce agreement. It would not be a modification. And what's also not modifiable is a waiver of alimony. So if you say that both parties are waiving alimony in the divorce, you can't come back in the future and ask that the court revisit alimony and implement an alimony order. So those are the basics on the aspects of a divorce agreement or judgment that can and cannot be modified after the divorce is finalized. As usual, if you have any additional questions, I would invite you to contact our office. And if you're looking for representation in a divorce or family law case here in Connecticut, I would invite you to contact our office as well.